We made it back. The commitment has been committed to. Day 2. And honestly, dude, I posted that video yesterday, and there's a part of me that's like, that wanted to keep on checking how many views, if there's any views. Even though I know there's no views, but that's not really the point. It's more like, there's a part of me that's like very, okay, there's a part of me that's excited. It's like, oh, I want to check you. What if there's something crazy? And then, but there's also part of me that's like, I need to see it because I need that validation, right? And the part of me that needs the validation is not like, I don't like, dude, it's not part of me that needs to be killed off or, you know, weakened down. It's the part of me that needs to be loved, right? And so, quick background. I did my bachelor's in psychology, and I got about a year and some change into my master's in counseling. And I don't know. I mean, I dropped out because I was like, I'm not really learning much here. The shit I'm learning is like, I already know, because I don't know, psychology is kind of like a special interest of mine, and philosophy is. So like, I'm learning things like ethics and like, you know, the what you should and shouldn't do in certain situations. But in terms of theory, no, I know a lot about theory. But one of the cooler things that I got introduced to, which then went into rabbit holes, internal family systems. And internal family systems, IFS, essentially just states that everyone's internal psychology can be, the perspective you can have is that there's multiple different versions of you all coexisting within your you know, not in like a multi-personality disorder, but almost like, you know, let's say like there's an anxious self, like you have an anxious self, okay? Now, rule number 1 of IFS is you don't shame that. You first acknowledge that you have an anxious self of yours. That's first step. And then once you're aware of it and you see it, it's like you step outside of yourself. Like you're starting to feel anxious, like, oh my God, there he is, or there she is, or, you know, there's the anxious self. There's like, you know, whatever. There's 14-year-old me, you know, expressing themselves, right? So that's the first step. And then you unblend, meaning like, well, that was part of unblending, which is like, you separate yourself from it. And then you give it insane amount of love, whatever it is, and then you reintegrate it back, right? And so the part of me that's like super obsessed and is like, I need to check these numbers, right? That's a very young part of me. And I'm going to say 3 years old. Because my very first memory, like one of my very first memories is like, I don't know, in preschool, or like, you know, like I would just watch people. I didn't understand how to socially interact, so I would just like watch, right, to see what's correct. And so I saw this boy named Angel. He was at the playground, and like the girls were like, I forgot their names, but they were like, oh, do this, and it was like, you know, essentially sitting on the playground set, like with a pole like between your legs, like sitting on a bar with a pole between your legs, and so they're like, ouch. And like they got so many, Angel got so many laughs out of it that I followed in his direction and like did the exact same thing, and they were like, we're not talking to you. And I'm like, oh, okay, so social things are much more complex than I imagined them to be, right? And I think for a while I just like, I think I learned like I would practice in the mirror, like how to smile or how to laugh, or like what, you know, how to have certain conversations or what questions to ask, right? And I think for a while it's like, I'm trying to be something I'm not, which then, you know, from that 3-year-old stuff is like, I'm looking for validation. I'm like, you know, I want to fit in so bad, or I need to, you know, how I feel about myself comes from others, right? And that started from a very young age, because I think, I don't know, me and my therapist, we talk about this. Like, I think I started out, like I was born avoidant, with avoidant attachment, just due to some ailments that my mother had. She's alive and well, and she's amazing, and she's the best, and I love her. But due to the ailments that she had when I was first born, I think I developed kind of avoidant attachment by, you know, out of necessity, right? To protect myself. And so, I've always felt, even though I'm avoidant and distant, I still feel like I need to be, there's a part of me that young self wants to be validated so bad. And so, back to the main point of me obsessing over these numbers and wanting to check the YouTube, even though there's another part of me that's like, dude, obviously we have no views, like that's just, it's okay. And so, but essentially, I'm telling that part of myself. I'm telling the young part. I'm almost invalidating them. Like, dude, you're being so dumb. There's no views there. Like, stop getting so excited. Instead, I should redirect that energy and reparent myself and be like, oh my god, you're so excited. Yeah, dude, I'm excited too. And like, but you're already awesome. Like, you don't, like, I should give that younger part of myself the validation that it wants, the attention. You know, I love you. You're amazing. Yeah, this is super cool, and like, you're super awesome, right? And directing it towards him. I don't have to like actually check the numbers, but I should just take that moment to validate. And so that leads into something I've been thinking about, is like, what is manifestation? And I think in then like the guru kind of wee woo spiritual way, you know, you're essentially becoming a tree. You're saying, you know, law of assumption, let's say, like, you want to be wealthy, right? And you then start by saying, like, you give yourself affirmations. I am wealthy, like, you know, whatever it is. So you're giving yourself these affirmations. You know, I am abundant, I have this, I have that. And as you tell yourself more, you start to become that person, because you're like rewiring your subconscious, right? And as you become that new person, those things get, you know, things start to become like the things that come to a wealthy person are going to start to come to you, right? The opportunities, whatever it is, because you're becoming that thing. And so, you know, in some spiritual wee-woo way, it's like, oh yeah, you just do this and then you get these things. So you say these mantras, these affirmations. There's like some formulaic thing to it, and like, you know, it's an exchange, right? That's how sometimes it's made it out to be. But through a psychology lens, it's like, no, someone that could just sit there and write a list of mantras, and they tell themselves every morning, you know, I have love. It's almost, mantras can almost be, or affirmations can almost just be gratitude practice. Like, I am loved, I am this, I'm that. But it also could be something else. It could be, you could be thankful. Let's say you want to be, you know, rich enough to go on vacations a lot. You know, if you say, oh my God, you know, it was crazy when I went to Spain last week. Even if that never happened, your brain does not know imaginary from real, right? So if you start to say, I can't believe that Spain trip last week, and then you start to look up pictures of like a resort and like the view from the beach, and then every time you tell yourself that mantra, you think of that, you know, your reality starts to shift. Your body's like, oh yeah, we did do that, and we're gonna do it again, and we always go on trips. Like, yeah, that's just something we do, and all of a sudden those opportunities will come. And what I think though is that when you're telling yourself these mantras and you're doing these things, if you realize that what you're actually just doing is reparenting a wounded version of yourself. Like, you know, people have a lot of, you know, parents are never perfect. So you have a lot of things from childhood that hurt you, where you maybe cried a lot. You may be told that you were too much and that you express your emotion too much. You might, you know, be told that you're too energetic and stuff like this, and so then you shut down. You present then shut down because you're like, I've been too much for the world. You may never be told that you're loved, and like, you know, you may have cried a lot as a child and kind of gotten dismissed. Like, whatever it is that happened, it doesn't go away until you heal it. And so it could just be that little, like, I don't know, pain you get in your arm every now and then, right? That could be some repressed trauma, whatever it is. And so what you're actually doing is you're reparenting that part of the self, the part, that little kid version that got beat up by the world and learned, you know, that they're not worth anything, or that they're, you know, all the internalized, you know, voices. What all you do by doing gratitude practice is by saying, I am worthy of success. I have a lot of success in my life. I am loved. I have so many friends. I have so many, you know, as you express gratitude, but even when you say things that you don't have and you express gratitude for that, you're essentially like repairing the childhood version and saying, I am, you know, abundant, or I am worthy. You're just saying to that little kid, you're worthy, you know. And the reason this works and things start to change is because childhood you, before they got bashed by the world, that you is the owner of your beliefs. It is the sole proprietorship of your beliefs and your self-concept. And so as you begin to reparent the child, you're like, all of a sudden you're starting to become more creative, because they are the source. So as the source, you know, gets flushed with water and like the dirt comes out, right? And it gets filtered out. Everything else kind of opens up. It's like this beautiful beam of light comes back up to the surface. Or, you know, if you think of it as like a pyramid, then like the base, like you're cleaning the base, and so the rest follows suit. Actually, maybe that, I don't know. And so, yeah, you're just changing your internal beliefs from feeling like a kid that's not worthy to feeling like an adult that can accomplish anything. And so I don't know why I just thought about that, because I don't know, it's just prominent in my life right now. I think that's what's kind of happening. Like beforehand I was just repeating mantras because I'm like, this is this formulaic thing and I don't really understand why it works. Because for me it's really about the why. I need to know why something is. I need to know the systems that it follows, you know, what the abstract concept. And so, yeah, there was there was a whole, I think 2020 and 2022, there was like months where I would just repeat mantras to myself. And yeah, I would get better. No worries. It definitely helped and I definitely got better. But it didn't stick because I felt like I didn't really understand what I was doing. But there's been a shift change ever since I've, you know, been in therapy for doing hardcore EMDR and like finding that inner child and changing those beliefs. It's almost like I'm telling me these mantras because it's gonna shape it's changing my beliefs. I'm healing myself. I'm telling like the kid version of myself that they're worth it and that I love them. And that little Nick, you know, he's the best. And so I think that's what I want to talk about for a little bit. Let me just sit in silence though real quick. You can join me again if you want. Anyways, thoughts from my balcony. Dude, that's one of my favorite Mac Miller songs. And I'm here, right here, on the balcony and having thoughts. I need to re-listen to his songs and just sit here in the present. Because the thing about listening to songs when you're not present is you're just getting the vibe, right? You're feeling some sort of vibe and you're not really in control, like you're not present enough to really grasp what's happening. And so, and then all of a sudden you hear yourself repeating some heinous shit, right? Which end up acting as mantras, because what, you know, your words are spells, right? I guess it's not that deep. Obviously I listen to music to vibe. I'm not some like, you know, God figure. I still do it, but I can imagine that what the effect it has on me for not being present. And so I need to just be present and listen to the lyrics and really feel the lyrics. Because Balloonerism, I know when I listened to it, the vibe I got was dark, and some of the lyrics I was like, this is dark, but I really need to sit there, even if it's gonna like be a really tough listen, because it's through his mental health struggles. It's like him almost foreshadowing everything, him being self-aware that his end was coming, but in a different way. You know, words are spells, and if he's telling himself that the world, that, you know, his end is near, then it will be so. The man who can and the man who can't are both right. So, anyways, I wonder how much time I have left. Has it been 20 minutes? Oh, it hasn't been that long. But yeah, I think I'm good. I'll be back tomorrow. More thoughts. More growth. And a lot of gratitude. Anyways, bye guys.